Well, hello everybody, Vicky here. It's good to be back again with another project. This is our ongoing journal that I am working on, my one journal at a time policy. I haven't picked this up since before Christmas, so I was really missing it. So it's lovely to be back working in it. So I've just got a little bit of a commercial frame and die cut that I bought somewhere, and I'm putting a little bit of acetate over it, and then that photo that you can see on the page, I'll put it in behind it. Then I'll just trim it all down. I just thought it'd be nice just to put it on that page, just to break it up, and there'll be still enough room there for plenty of journaling. I've got lots of journaling spots. So what I've decided to do is I've been going through, as we know, you've journeyed with me. I've glued in ephemera like the folio that you can see on the pink page there. So I've gone through and done a few of those, but then I thought best I stop and start doing some of the ephemera, the tags, the add-ons before it gets too thick. So that page there that I've got my hand on is a scrapbooking page. I wasn't sure what to do with that. So before I turn the page, that is a collage that hides the flap that I've used to make a flip with an envelope. Now it's a beautiful, beautiful pink pearl, not metallic, it probably is metallic. It's beautiful. It's what you'd buy to put a wedding invitation in. So I'm using that as a pocket, and I've already cut the thumb hold. And what I'm inking up now is an image from Minte, I believe. I'm going to have that as a pocket. Getting back to that page, the scrapbooking page that I was just talking about, I was going to cover that, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to leave it there because they're quite nice, the images. And I've just put that little girl up in the top box. And I thought, well, whoever gets this journal, they might like to add some pages onto that, or they may have something a pocket that would look good with things, personalised things that they've got. So it can either stay the way it is, or whoever gets the journal, they've got the opportunity to put their personal stamp on it. And these are Tim Holt botanicals that I'm just popping in there. And what I'm doing here, I am using obviously the embossing folder, and I've selected 4 pieces of paper at this stage, and I'm embossing them, and I will put them in that envelope. So the new owner will have some paper that they might like to make a tag out of, or a journaling card. I don't know, limited by our imagination, I guess. And by giving the paper, it means that they get a choice to make some of their own ephemera if they want to, without needing too many supplies. Now I'm just trimming up, squaring all these bits up. As you can see, I just cut it roughly off the bigger sheets by that waist there. They were a little bit hacked at and crooked. So now we've got 4. Now that gold silver shimmery one, it's very, very light, and I just sort of gave it a little bit of a wobble there so that you can see. I'm not backing them. They're going to go in the envelope just as they are. And something else may go in that envelope with them along the way. Now, I'm not putting anything behind that envelope because it's all about journaling, this book, and leaving spots for people to personalise it, I think. And I've added in a magazine page that you can see there. I like putting magazine pages in, or I've gotten a book all about Australian. It's everything that happened was written in the news papers over a period of time. I'm not sure how I think from beginning up, I don't know. It's chronicles, they call it. And I have been using those. I coffee dye those and add them in, and it's just a little bit of information, and you never know, there might be something that you'll read there that will spark something in your mind or your heart, and it will give you something to look into. Now, these two images are graphic 45s. I love their paper, but as I'm doing this, well, not so much as I'm doing it there, but as I'm looking at these images now, I don't really think that they fit with what this journal is all about. But obviously, I hadn't made that decision while I was making them, so I'd cut out the man so that there'd be two similar styles, one for towards the front and one for towards the back. I tend to do that, have pairs or have in three, just so that there's more than one thing to tie the thing together a little bit. But I'm really pretty well 100% sure that these won't make the final cut. But nonetheless, they're here now. So as you can see, I've just cut a little bit of lace. I just wanted to add a little bit to that lady. So we're going to put, so I'm just checking to see which colour I wanted. Just a quick check. Now these are little embroidery flosses. Maybe like the pearl skeins that you can get, only these are smaller and it's finer, so it's not a stranded cotton. It's, yeah, I'm not 100% sure on what you call them, to tell you the truth, but anyway, they're beautiful colours. So what I'm doing with this piece of lace is I'm putting, I think I did 3 crosses on them. Really easy to do. The hardest thing is to get it tied off without it showing through to the other side. But we don't need to do too much to anchor it down because the glue will hold it into place. So yeah, it looks like I've done 3. There we go. So these colours, I think, is what sort of like drew me to the idea of having this. But it's, yeah, I won't go on about it. So I've decided what I thought I'd do with this one. I've got some very soft fibre that I got out of Sue's shop. And it's like the older ladies will know what I mean. I asked a 35-year-old if she knew what was Chanel, like the Chanel bedspreads, and she didn't have a clue. So it's that softness of it. So I've got the lace tied down, glued down now with I've done 4. There you go. There's 4 crosses there. Now I notice that these days I always get a wet one out before I even open the pot of the gold, and I didn't put you through the torment of it tonight. Oh, honestly, when I get that out and I start putting it around my tags or whatever I'm doing, it goes everywhere. And I'm sort of like trying not to do it, but I'm not getting bent out of shape and trying to fix it or put things in the bin when it happens now, because a little bit of gold is never a bad thing, is it? So I've decided to sew 2 buttons onto the lace, but because I've finished everything up, I have to sew the button like I'm sewing it on, so that it looks like it's been sewn on. But I have to glue it on because it was a bit of an afterthought. So it's all shims and mirrors at this stage, isn't it? And then I've put a little bit of cotton behind the button. And that's another thing I have a love-hate relationship with, is that fabric glue. It's I don't think it's far off before I won't be able to use it in its current state because my hands just can't squeeze the bottle, and because it's big, I only have small hands. I've got to stretch my hand out to get a grip on it and to use it. So there's the buttons. I'm just trying in vain to try and get those little loops that I made in their not so uniform. But I probably will go through at a later date and cut them and try and fuzz them up a little bit. So this is the fibre I was talking about. it's really, really, it's beautiful and soft. It's just marshmallowy and it's just lovely. So I've just destroyed half of it trying to find the end, only to realise that Sue, when she wound them for the shop, she actually tied it off in the hole. And of course I didn't think to look there, did I? So I just wanted to finish this one off. I don't usually put the tops in them until I know where it's going, although that's not entirely true either. I have been these days in some instances. So I'm just finishing that tag off, and not, doesn't necessarily be obvious, but that will just be tucked into a pocket or held with a paper clip. We'll just see watch this space. And then I thought what I'd do is I'd make a little dangle and hang it off the fibre up the top. But I decided that, or did I? I made one dangle. That's what I must have done. I did make one dangle and it had too much on it and it flopped around and hid too much of that beautiful lady. So I've just put a little heart and a key on there. In my apologies, I just couldn't quite remember. So that's the tag. It's been backed for journaling, and the little charms on there. And I'm putting a butterfly on the back of it. I'm not sure why, just because. And these are like the little paper stickers. So I'm just going around and just putting a little bit of a colour in the white bit, and there we go. And now that is indeed finished, I believe. So I've got it attached there with a spiral paper clip. I'm just going through here and putting the stenciling on this page. That was another thing I used to always do. As soon as I put the signature in, I'd go through and do all the stenciling onto the pages, but obviously I was a little bit lax. Now what I'm working on here is just a luggage tag, a shipping tag. I thought of all sorts of different things that I could do on it, but in the finish, what I decided to do is not hide the fact that it's a shipping tag, because it's all part of junk journaling. I've decided to do a collage on it. Now, that's the back of the magazine page that I was telling you about. And like I said, I love to read tidbits, and I'm always trying to figure out what's new when I fall down rabbit holes and want to know all sorts of weird things. So my hope is that, well, it will be a useful page, whether or not it's read, but you can collage, whoever's got can collage on it and do a piece of their own artwork over it, put some gesso over the top of it and personalise it to how they want it. But I just put those butterflies on there. I don't know why, I just wanted to put the butterflies on there, and I didn't put any extra glue on with them, so they more than likely will just peel back if it bothers, or if it's getting in the way of what somebody else, whoever owns this, wants to do with it. So this is a collage from bits and pieces that, float around and we've got a lot of, and all those sorts of things. So this year is about finishing things when I start them. It's about having a little bit of discipline. Not too much though, because too much discipline, I think it's sort of like it shuts our creativity down if we're too rigid. But I'm really trying my best to have a look at what I've got and to be using it instead of leaving it sitting in the drawers. All this nonsense that I've gone on with for a couple of years. Well, it's nonsense for me. It might be your reality, and that's fine. But keeping things, because my main one is I just can't use the good stuff yet because I'm not good enough. I have to wait until I can do better. I have to wait until I'm perfect before I can start using all the good stuff that I've got. And meanwhile, all my paints and mediums are all going dry, which I knew about towards the end of last year. And I've been missing doing mixed media because it's so much fun. You just get in, you get down, and you get dirty, and you create something, and it's just lots and lots of fun. And it's not art to please anybody else. It's about what makes you happy, what frees you. So this year I'm endeavouring to make sure that I use the supplies that I've got, and I'm pretty sure I know the oldest. So I'm going from the oldest. Graham has suggested that we get a fridge for me, and we put all my paints and my mediums and what have you in a fridge to try and stop them from going off. I'd need to read labels, of course, before I put them into the fridge. I know all the ink for my photocopier. I've got ink in the kitchen in the fridge, which I'm not really terribly happy about. And I've got it all wrapped and sealed, so it shouldn't cause a problem. So I'm thinking that he is right, that with the temperatures that we get these days, um, it's not in a climate controlled area. We don't have ducted air conditioning, which would give us climate control consistently. So we need to try and do something, because I'm not going to be able to move fast enough to use everything up. And this is what happens when I don't know, something misfunctions, and you see things and you look at things and you think, wow, that's amazing. I want to do that, or I love that. I'd love to use that product. I'll get some. But it does accumulate. It's like with napkins, serviettes. If you're Australian, we buy we buy them when we see them, but you get a pack of 20. And in what lifetime are we ever going to use up 20 per packet when you've got 20 or 25 or 30, however many packets you've got? So that's a real problem, and I have shared them out with people, but you still can't waste them down. So things like that happen, and it's like with paint, you want a good range of paints depending on what you feel like doing. So you end up with quite a few pots or quite a few tubes that you need to use. So yeah, I've made it a little bit difficult for myself, but I don't know, I'm up for the challenge. So this is just the back of the luggage tag or shipping tag, whatever you'd like to call it. And there's my next piece of paper that I'm building up. You'll always see a piece of paper that I'll use to glue on. I'll use to stamp my stamps. That's how I clean my stamps. I'm afraid I'm a bit lazy. I stamp them onto a scrap paper until there isn't any ink left on them. And like when I'm inking around edges or whatever, I have a piece of paper under me, and then I keep using that until it's full, like it's really covered, and it's really good for punching, like a butterfly punch. It's good to put through the big shot with some of the dyes, and that's all the leftover product that we would normally waste. And then I also get to protect my surface a little bit as well, which basically means that I'm lazy, because while it's going onto that paper, I don't have to spend time trying to clean my desk. And if you look just to the left, you can see where there's a couple of glue marks on there, and then they're not going to come off. So it doesn't matter how careful we are. I mean, the mat's there basically to catch everything and not be dirty. But I just thought, well, with me filming, it might be nicer if I could try and keep it a little bit cleaner. So that's our second tag done. It's sort of like, it feels really good. It feels really good to be starting to fill this up now. I mean, I have been filling it with all the pieces that I've glued in, But it's really nice to start doing this sort of thing now because it's about decorating now. The rest of it was just getting it in for the bones of the journal. So now we get to decorate them. I guess to keep that metaphor going, we could say put the flesh on the bones. And I'm really pleased with these two clusters. This I'm not terribly confident with doing them. Now this is just a piece of cardstock and it's pink, and I've got a little bit of lace and I've covered it, and I've put a little rosette row up the top of it just to border it, and it's going to be a top pocket. So we're just getting that into place now, see where I want it. But what I did do is, well, obviously I've just inked a little bit. I've got a little bit of ink on my foam, and I've just run it. Well, I haven't done it. I'm about to do it. And what I've done is I've gone along the tops of those roses. So the roses that are there, they're an ecru colour, and now they've got the hint of the colour sitting on the top petals, and it really come up really pretty. And it was just a matter of just being very light and going along and building it up rather than putting too much on at a time. And it just makes it stand out that little bit better, because ecru has gone on to ecru, so that's a nice pastel sort of little pop for it to go in there. So it's going to sit up there. I can't believe that we're nearly at the end of February. I said Happy New Year to everybody, I think halfway through February, and said that's it. Things went crazy in our house, and we're now having to be grown-ups and get things done. And I live in southeast Queensland. For those that don't, if that doesn't mean anything to them, it has become a very, very humid climate, and we have had a lot of rain through this summer. And unfortunately, a thing that comes with us is both termites and cockroaches and ants. So the air conditioning's done, big tick. Just before I go on, I'm putting little micro beads in on top of the body of my butterfly, and I got that idea from Sue over at Paper Inspirations. So when you hear me say Sue, Paper Inspirations, and I was too lazy to get up and get a spoon. So I had a little bit of glue on the end of my scissors, and I'm picking them up, and I'm just trying to get them to line up. And the problem is the more you fiddle around with it, the more you knock off to put one on. So just put them on and then be happy with it. So yeah, well, anyway, getting back to our issues, we had the pest man out today, and I had that little bit of a ruffle, and I thought that's too pretty to leave sitting on the desk. So I've just put it along as you can see, I've put it along the edge of that magazine page, and I believe you'll see in a moment I will put a little dangle on it. So anyway, back to our we're paying for being lazy. I think we were due to have the place resprayed in January, and it's now nearly the end of February. So I kept saying to Graham, we have got cockroaches the size of mice, Graham. Please, can we get it done? Slightly exaggerated, but I wander around at night all hours, and when it's quiet, that's when these filthy little things come out. And I don't like spraying, I don't like having the chemicals, but I can't take it having cockroaches in the house. How do I know they're not going to want to crawl across my face at night, I say. Now, I did put those ladies in there, but once again, I didn't think they fitted the theme of this journal, so they will go away and they'll pop up in another one. So, the flick man, we call him, the pest man, came today, I've got no sign of white ants anywhere, so that's a good thing. Termites, white ants. I'm talking about termites, and hopefully the only cockroaches we'll see will be dead ones. And that's probably more information than you needed, but never mind. Now I've put that piece of paper through an embossing folder, and this is the manila folder that I have coffee dyed, and I used the plastic placemats to get that pattern on it. So it looks really nice. So we'll just trim that up, and I believe this is going to be a tag. So because I've put it through the embossing folder, it means that it's not it's bumpy, obviously. So it will be a little bit more difficult to write on, and the whole point of having extra tags and ephemera is not just to look pretty, but to also give extra spaces to be able to journal on. And also now, because I've put that piece of manila folder on the back of it, it means that it's a little bit more sturdy. So somebody might have a photo or tickets or some sort of memorabilia that they can paste onto the back of that. It doesn't have to be journaling. It could be anything you want it to be, but it's just solid enough now for it to be that. And I've decided on an eyelet hole there. Oh no, I've got to ink it first. Of course I do. I like inking my things. For me, it creates a frame. And so it's like a picture that's on the wall, painting that's on the wall. They're in a frame. It just highlights what's within the square or the circle or whatever. You just highlight what's there. So I tend to do it. I'm not sure if I attack this with the gold or not. We'll watch this space for a moment. Yep. I should have known, shouldn't I? And I've also got a few little round pieces of ephemera that we'll glue that down when we're done. Probably haven't done it straight away because there might be a big blob of gold that is where I'm going to have to put the ephemera, which is exactly what happened. So you can see some smudges of gold up the left underneath the red, and at the end of the day, that's not a problem. Now the ephemera I'm using is quite thin, so what I tend to do is I'll back it onto my scraps of manila folder or scraps of cardstock that's about, just to strengthen it a little bit. And it's an unnecessary step, but because this isn't a smooth surface that I'm gluing it onto, if I just put that thin piece of paper down and glue it, that little image is going to be all higgledy-piggledy, following the ruts and curves and what have you of the tag. Now I've just sewn something. I've sewn around the tag. I was going to say I don't know what I did, but I've actually sewn around, I think, both of them. I think I've sewn around both of them. So I've got one tag there on one side finished, and I'm just going to do a little bit of a picture on this pink. It's 49 Market, the bright pink there that you're looking at. And it is a stunning piece of paper. It's not a solid piece. You can see how it's a bit motley. It's a lot prettier when you're looking at it instead of through the lens. So I'm just doing a couple of little bits. I don't think I'm far off calling it quits for the night here. So I've just sort of grabbed a couple of bits of the ephemera that I had, pictures and images. So I decided I'd cut that down sort of semi-ready to give me a start on my next session. So I've got that glued down there. That's all nice. I'm having just so much fun doing this, It really is, honestly, just lots of love going into this journal. I'm having fun with it. And I think it's because it's been far too long since I've actually finished one. And I think that it's bothering me now, the way I feel and the way I create. So that's why I've drawn a line in the sand. What's your line in the sand? Where do you get to before you say enough is enough? It's time to clean up. It's time to finish these things that are half started. I'd be interested to know. When do you decide that you're done? And I didn't check to see where this video ends, so I hope I don't have to say a hurried goodbye to you, but anything's possible. But yeah, I'd love to know what it is. When do you get to the point where you know you've just got to either give up on something and turn it into a different creation? I'm just putting a bit of seam binding up the top in that hole there, and that's that tag done. So that's a good job. Yeah, I know with me, I get really frustrated because there are times when I'll just jump from one project to the next, and I have a series of baskets. I've told you all about my baskets, hence my series, which I am still doing. I've got 4 going now, so I'm just putting that into the window pocket there. I've got an acetate piece there for the window, and I've put a nice pretty little piece of paper behind that pocket, so that if there's nothing in the pocket, it still looks nice. So let me say, be kind to you, and be kind to the person that's standing next to you, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.